Hello and welcome back to the Eyes of O Gaming channel. Thank you for joining me as we investigate another older game in the What Is It and Is It Worth It game review and showcase series. During the review, I will try my best to stay objective and as spoiler-free as possible as we go over the various aspects of the game, such as mechanics, graphics, and sound, as well as giving a general idea of the world the game takes place in. I won't be giving a number rating to the game as I find number rating systems to be very arbitrary considering the subjective nature of video games. Instead, I'll try my best to give enough information that you can decide for yourself if the game is worth it for you. If you are interested in a more subjective look, stay to the end of the video for my personal recommendation of if I would recommend the game, and if I actually enjoyed it with a simple yes, no, or sometimes a maybe, and a short explanation of why or why not. Have you ever just wanted to get away and live in a secluded tower with your only contact being a radio to talk to your supervisor, of course? Well, you are in luck. Today we're looking at Firewatch, a game that released in 2016 being developed by Campo Santo and published by Panic. So what exactly is Firewatch? How has the game held up over the years? Today we're going to take a look at this one and see what it's about in as objective a way as possible, while remaining as story spoiler free as we can to do it. So sit back and relax as we try to answer the most important question asked in this review series. Is this one worth it for you? Let's find out together. So what are the basics of the plot of this game? Well, it takes place a year after the Yellowstone fires in 1988, and we'll have you play as the main character Henry, as he works being based out of a Firewatch tower in Shoshone National Forest. The intro to the game will play through a short text-based storyline which will have the player pick between different options to progress through to the main story game. Don't worry too much during these beginning options, as it doesn't seem to have much effect on how the game actually plays out, and is more just to build the story and get the player role-playing as Henry. Really, that seems to be the case through much of the game. There are a number of choices the player will make throughout. However, as far as I could tell, they don't ultimately amount to too much of a difference story-wise or change gameplay in any real meaningful way. That being said, there are some different dialogues that you will hear depending on your choices, and considering that the main part of this game is a dialogue and story-based adventure, take the importance of that change as you will. Mechanically, the game is really simple. It takes place in first person and will have the player exploring the park and completing tasks, which typically involve hiking to a specific area, doing some simple task or observing a situation, and reporting in to your supervisor over radio. There is no combat in this game, and is simply an exploration and dialogue-filled story game. Breaking with the objective analysis for a moment, I will come out and say that if you're the type of gamer who tends to skip dialogue and rush into the combat or action sequences, this game may not be the best option for you. This one is all about the story, exploration, and enjoying the experience. Aside from hiking around and exploring, mechanics are rather limited with some extremely simple one-button climbing and typically one-button interaction sequences. Graphics are unique. It's hard to accurately judge how they have aged, as the style is intentionally a unique artistic approach. NPCs are nearly non-existent, so their qualities are not possible to judge. The environments are again created using a specific stylized artistic approach, rather than going for absolute realism. In another game, they may feel odd or out of place, but they do seem to fit the story-heavy adventure of this particular game. As the game takes place almost entirely within the park, most of the environment will be very similar. However, there are a few areas that you will come across which add a bit of variation to the game. So what sets this game apart? Well, it's a very unique experience. It is entirely exploration, dialogue, and story focused. Little to no action save for a few tense moments. Aside from a couple of very specific events, there are no interactions with NPCs in the game, and the only outlet for the heavy dialogue aspect is over the radio as you get to know and converse with your supervisor on a variety of topics, much of it centering around Henry's past, and things that you'll discover in the park as you play. Sound was really quite good in this game. Dialogue is well written and delivered really quite well. A huge part of the enjoyment from this game relies on the player building a connection with the characters, and the very believable conversation and style of delivery do not impose any difficulty or take away from the immersion. Music and other sounds are all fine, but again, the real standout in this area is the voice acting and dialogue.
Hello? Whoever this is?
It's Henry, right?
Yeah.
I'm Delilah.
Yeah, that's what the guy said on the phone.
So, what's wrong with you? What the fuck?
What is it?
Nothing. You use this to... Oh, fuck me!
Good God, language, lady.
Out your west-facing window. Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Hey, there's a tree out here that's been ripped to hell.
And?
Don't you think that's, disconcerting?
Henry, there are 500-pound grizzly bears out here. They sharpen their claws on trees. What can I do for you?
Well, my typewriter is on the ground, outside of my tower.
This is another game that is hard to find a comparison. I haven't played many games that are too similar, but of the games that I do have experience with that seems the most similar is probably The Long Dark. Again, exploration is key, secluded in a forest location, and little to no interaction with NPCs. Where these games differ is in the dialogue and story building. Firewatch is all about immersion through storytelling, whereas The Long Dark was immersion through survival. Of games that I have covered on the channel, the only ones that come to mind are Call of Cthulhu, simply due to the reliance on storytelling and conversation to move the story along, rather than the typical combat and action as seen in most games. And the other game that I've already covered that is similar being Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Again, we are looking at different games in terms of mechanical gameplay, as Hellblade does have substantial combat and puzzle solving that is absent from Firewatch, but the unique experimental approach and very heavy immersion and storytelling will feel vaguely similar. So now that we've looked at some of the features of the game, we reach the point of my review where I give a more subjective look at my personal experience with it. Please keep in mind that the following is just my opinion of the game, and if the features and genre seem interesting to you, you should definitely check it out for yourself, as not all games are for all gamers. The game that you hate might be the next gamer's all-time favorite, which is one of the things that I love about gaming. There's always something for someone out there. So did I enjoy Firewatch, and do I recommend it?
Maybe. Maybe not.
Well, it's a hard one to recommend. I would say for a very specific type of gamer, or if you're looking for a very specific story-heavy experience, this is a great one. If you're looking for something with a more traditional gameplay style, this is definitely not it. Personally, I did enjoy the game. I felt that the characters were written very well, and so connecting with them was easy, and I actually felt sad that the story was coming to an end when I made it to the end of the game. If there is one critique, or maybe a warning, it is that the game is really quite short. It's the kind of game that you can beat in an evening if you're determined. I think it was only around 4-ish hours when I played through, and I felt like I took my time with most of the story, though I did run and try to take shorter routes when traveling between areas. I mention this as a critique, however really the length does fit the game and what they were going for. Just something to keep in mind, I guess. Another thing that is actually more of a missed opportunity is that the game really feels like the decisions have weight, but it seems that the outcomes are always the same regardless of what you do in the game. This seems like a natural fit for unique endings or the world having different consequences based on your decisions, though this not being implemented is likely due to the relatively small team that worked on it. So ultimately my recommendation is maybe, as I know it's likely not a game that will have mainstream appeal, but for a small number I would expect that they would really enjoy this casual, easy story experience. I will be posting a first hour of gameplay, if you don't mind a more spoilery look at the game. Just keep in mind that the length of the game is really quite short, and so the first hour may give away a good percentage of the game. If you just want a gameplay idea, maybe skip through it to get a feel for what the game is. So I hope you enjoyed this look at Firewatch. Have you already played through this one? What were your own thoughts on the game? Did you agree or disagree with my own assessment of it? If you disagreed, let me know why. Maybe there's something I didn't think of and you can convince me. I'd love to hear about your own experiences down in the comments, or if my review showcase was helpful, I'd like to know if you decided to go ahead with it or not. Either way, if you found this video interesting or entertaining, please let me know with a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing to the channel. I make and upload a variety of gaming content, not just reviews like this, but also walkthroughs, mod showcases, let's play, and more. And I'd love to have you join the community and help direct the future of the channel. Otherwise, thank you so much for taking the time to watch today, and until next time, take care.